Hello, fellow human. Welcome back to another Dank Doggo rSlash ChoosingBeggars. So our story today is from wSlash Phoenix Waller with the title of Jailbird Uncle Demands More Monthly Money, is Denied Increase, Sues His Brother, Loses in Court, Now Gets Nothing. The title is the TLDR, LOL. Bit of a long one for y'all. Just a bit of background. My uncle has been in jail off and on for probably 3/4 of my life, and I will be 40 this year. Usually it was just pure idiocy that landed him behind bars once he broke into a house, fell asleep on their couch. Another time it was just something like public drunkenness in Utah on a non-drinking day or something. At that point I wasn't paying attention to what exactly landed him in jail. It was just an, oh, uncle is in jail again, and move on with life thing. But the last time he got drunk and beat a man almost to death. Sentenced 20 years. Other random facts that come into play. Uncle had 2 kids. Uncle was divorced but failed to pay child support, so had a huge child support bill due. That child support bill? If the uncle ever had too much money at once because his money was watched by the prison system, it could be seized to repay back the child support. Anyway, on to the long story. This went on for about a decade, so a few things might be out of order, but all the key parts are there. So it's the late 2000s, and uncle is already in prison for beating this dude. Then my father on that side, who'd previously been subsidizing my uncle in prison, had a stroke. For a few days it was pretty touch and go. My dad flies out, and it's obvious that if grandpa lives, he's going to have to go into a nursing home. Grandpa's sister and my dad are there, and decide that they need grandpa to get his will together. They have an attorney come to the hospital, and the will gets written, witnesses, etc. Now yes, grandpa had just had a stroke, but his mind was still fully there. His mind was good until the day he died. At this point I have to break to mention 2 things. Firstly, grandpa owed dad about 20K, so the will was structured to treat that as a separate somehow, and second, grandpa told dad not to give my uncle money in prison. Anyway, in the will my grandpa left everything to my dad. Nothing to the grandchildren, this comes up later, and nothing to my uncle. My dad and my grandpa's sister actually asked about my uncle, and my grandpa replied that he'd bail him out so many times, even adding extra mortgage ones if I recall, and sent him so much spending money for prison that in his eye, my uncle had already received his inheritance. Now we were still on speaking terms with uncle after grandpa's stroke, and even though he was told not to, my dad started sending the monthly spending money, which I believe was 50, then after a couple of years went up to 75. A year later, grandpa passed. We called the prison to let uncle know that in a subsequent letter, he was informed that there was nothing for him in the will. My parents did put a token amount into a bond for him anyway. About 3 years passed, during which time my parents continued to send a monthly stipend to my uncle. Then my uncle calls with some excuses for why he needs more money. My parents call BS and tell him that they're not sending anything extra. Uncle gets pushier, and my parents finally tell him they will cash out the bond that they set aside for him, but there will be nothing for him when he gets out. Uncle takes the money, but still demands an increase in his monthly amount. He's once again told no, he's getting free money, and if he needs more, he should get a job in the prison. At some point around the same time, one of my cousins died. The other died a couple of years later. Uncle argues that cousin's inheritance should revert to him, arguing that grandpa had to have left some money to his precious grandchildren, neglecting the fact that none of the grandchildren were included, and even if they were, it could have been paid out years earlier. When my parents sent ex-aunt money to help with funeral costs, uncle is mad because he thinks that money should have gone to him for grieving or something. Fast forward several months. There have been rumblings of uncle demanding money from other people we know, which is pissing everybody off. But this is the way he operates, and everybody is tiny bit forgiving cause he's the eldest kid just died. Then ex-aunt forwards us a letter in which uncle asks her to lie for him and state that there will be a previous will by my grandparents that included him. There wasn't. At the same time, we are notified that uncle is suing my parents, contesting grandpa's will and demanding almost 5 times the amount of the entire inheritance. Note, he was able to claim indigent status, so filing fees and such were waived. It's at this point my parents cut him off. Pretty sure their own money has been used to buy favors in prison that helped Uncle to put together the lawsuit. Now, the lawsuit was full of ridiculous allegations claiming that Grandpa had been coerced into making a new will while mentally weak due to a stroke, that my parents had abused my grandpa, that the estate that was worth more than it was because of the antique and such. LOL, old doesn't mean valuable. That my parents were willingly withhold the contact information of family members who would back up his claims. Nope, they begged us not to give him their details because they knew he'd demand money. And many lies, as he thought he could get away with it. Enter lawsuit number 1, filed in the state Grandpa lived in before his stroke and where the will was written. Was quickly dismissed on jurisdiction grounds as Uncle didn't live there, my parents don't live there, and my grandpa didn't die there. Because my parents brought him into a nursing home in our state so he couldn't have to be alone. Enter lawsuit number 2. About 9 months or so after lawsuit number 1, Uncle refiled in the state he's incarcerated in. This time, it wasn't quickly tossed on jurisdiction grounds and my parents had to get an out-of-state attorney. Eventually, the case was dismissed, but without prejudice. Enter lawsuit number 3. Almost immediately after the case was tossed in the second state, he sues again in the state parents live in and Grandpa died in. Parents have to get an attorney again. This time, Uncle gets in his head that he will win and drops the suit expecting the amicable resolution because he is sick. But at this point, my parents are done and have been no contact for a while. My dad is pissed and nope, there will be no amicable resolution because F the uncle and his crap. Enter lawsuit number 4. About 6 months after dropping lawsuit number 3, Uncle sues again. This one finally gets to court. A judge looks at everything, including the threatening letters Uncle had sent and the letter he'd sent ex-aunt wanting her to lie about another will, etc. And the case is finally tossed with prejudice, meaning no refile. Uncle immediately appeals, but when that finally got to the appeal courts, they toss it pretty quickly. Now the sweet ending. Because all the family and friends watched Uncle run my parents through 4 different frivolous lawsuits because they refused to give him more money, almost everybody cut ties, and last I heard, nobody was giving him any money at all. That's one hell of a story. I think there's a law where prisoner got all or a large proportion of the lawsuit fees waived. I've read a case where a guy sued over 2,600 times and made it into the Guinness record book. The CB in this story probably have abused the system to sue OP's parents 4 freaking times. It's a shame to have an ungrateful, entitled prick like that as your family member. He used the same money which he got from OP's parents to pull strings for the lawsuit. Like, talk about being a scummy lowlife. And by the way, the reason for him to get in jail in the first place was beyond stupidity. Like, seriously, breaking into a house, then fell asleep on the couch? Like, bruh! This is like Mr. Bean level of comedy, but it's real life. Then beating a guy to almost death while being drunk? Like, holy crap. There's no shadow of hope left for this kind of human trash. Poor OP's grandpa, his method was dead wrong, as it nurtured an ungrateful scum like this. Grandpa bailed him over and over again to the point that Uncle felt entitled to receive everything from his family, and that it is the family responsibility to pay for his bailouts and send him more money. That's it for today, fellow humans. Thanks for watching. Dank Doggo appreciates your time. If you enjoy our content and want to see more of us, stay tuned and subscribe. Don't forget to smash that like button or Doggo will cry. Also, you can always tell us your Doggo comments, your experiences in the comment section. I'll catch up with you guys later in the next video.